Hello, everybody. Welcome to LettermenRow.com. I am Jeremy Birmingham. This is Birminology, where we talk to Ohio State recruits, commits, targets, prospects from all over the country. We have been focused primarily on the class of 2022 in the last few weeks because, well, for the most part, the class of 2021 is over for the Buckeyes, but there are a couple players still on the board, and one of them is linebacker Raesjon Davis from Mater Dei High School out there in California, and he is joining us today. Raesjon, thanks for taking time, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. These last few months have been a little bit weird for you, I think. Obviously, you've been watching college football. Were committed to LSU for a year, decided to reopen things up about 10 days before, it would have marked 1 year exactly. We'll just begin there. I'm not going to ask you to go into the specifics of everything that, made you change your mind or made you reopen things. But how hard was that entire situation? Because it's not like you don't care for the people at LSU or that you don't have, fond feelings for Coach Orgeron and their program. But ultimately, what was it that you said, hey, I need to take a step back?
Well, it was really just, I knew that the coaches were like kind of getting shaky with all the positionings and everything. So I knew that some coaches were going to have to leave. And then I've always after Coach Aranda left, I didn't know where I would fit in with that. But then Coach Bellini, he showed me that I'd still be able to play in his defense. But really, it was just, I think losing the two defensive coordinators really hit me. And I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with that again. If I was to go out there and then my second year, I'd lose another defensive coordinator, I wouldn't want that to happen. So really, that just made me dial it back a little bit and then open the recruitment process back up.
And in your recruiting process, because you were committed for so long, a lot of teams, I think, sort of that you may have had interest in, you didn't really get a chance to fully develop the relationships. And then, of course, you had all the stuff going on with COVID-19 and the inability to make visits. Yeah. You, though, were able back in March to stop into the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on a part of a trip with some other guys and spent, three hours in the Woody?
It was like two. It was 2 hours, yeah. I was about 2.
What about those 2 hours inside of the facility and get the opportunity to meet with Al Washington and Ryan Day and those guys? What was it about those 2 hours that made you be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to know more about them, and that kept that relationship building over the last few months when a lot of other schools have probably fallen off to the wayside?
Well, with Ohio State, I actually when I got the offer, I was really I was excited about it because it was always a dream offer of mine because I always knew how big of a school they were and how great they were. So honestly, I was low-key ready to commit to them before LSU, but then LSU, I started talking to Coach Aranda more, and because I hadn't talked to the defensive coordinator that much at Ohio State, but then so I started talking to Aranda more and more, and he just got my attention. So that's why I really went with LSU. But Ohio State was one of my first options. That's where I really wanted to go. So when I went up there, it was everything I thought it would be. It was super nice, super high tech and everything. It was one of the best facilities I've been to. So that's really what had me locked in a little bit and made me want to see it a little bit more. But I just hope my parents could get up there too.
Well, that was obviously Ohio State under coordinator Jeff Hafley, who's now the Boston College head coach.
Yeah.
Kerry Combs is back in Columbus, and you're watching the Buckeyes defense this year. As a linebacker, I'm just going to ask you specifically, what have you seen on film from the Buckeyes linebacker core that has increased your interest?
Really, at 47, Justin Hilliard, he plays a lot like me, sort of. So I like what he does. He's flying around there making plays all the time. So that really gets me excited, and it shows me that I could go out there and make plays just like that my freshman year, sophomore year, and then for continuing on. And then I'll be able to increase my draft stock.
Here's a funny thing, Raesjon. Justin Hilliard committed to Ohio State on July 3rd, 2014.
Oh, right before 4th of July?
2014. He's been in the program for 7 years.
Oh no, yeah, that's what I told my parents. I was like, he's been there for so long, so I'm happy he's finally getting his run.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite kids I've ever covered. Justin is an example of if you put in the work, eventually the good things are going to happen for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that because I kind of went through something like that at Mater Dei. I had to work for my starting position. So that's why I was like, I like him a lot. He seems like a hard worker.
Mater Dei is one of the country's most talent-rich programs. I mean, everyone who covers high school football recruiting knows of it. the Buckeyes have tried fairly hard in the last few years to get into that program. I mean, starting back with Elias, then there was some obvious interest with Raesjon Davis, and then now yourself in the 22 class with Damani and CJ Williams. How important is it for you guys? I mean, you followed Elias, with an early commitment to LSU. How much impact is there from dudes like in your high school picking a college, and what does that, do for you?
Well, we all come from like a lot of different places, so we don't really make our decisions based off of like each other. Like we really just do the best for us and our family. That's kind of what it is. Like when we sent ourselves to Mater Dei, it was just like, you're doing this for you. You have to make the best outcome of this, and then so like really, it doesn't really matter where your friends are going, because at the end of the day, you'll be able to talk to them later on in life. So that's really Mater Dei taught us. They say you just got to do what's the best for you.
What is your relationship like with Ryan Day right now? I mean, obviously, I know the majority of your conversations are with Al Washington, but what do you think of Ryan Day? What do you think of the program that he's built in the 2 years he's been the head man? And, just a little insight into what makes that connection different.
Well, Coach Day, he's super cool. I loved him. Like, we were doing Zoom calls over the summer, and just talking to him and just getting to know his family and everything. He's a super cool dude, and I could tell he's a really good coach, and the players love him. Like all the players, they seem happy. They seem like they're having fun out there, and it makes it look easier for them to play football.
Raesjon, how important is the crystal ball? Because if you haven't noticed in the last few weeks, all of a sudden every crystal ball that's connected to your name says you're going to USC, and the Buckeyes are wasting their time.
The crystal ball is just, I don't know where they get their information from, but I don't think they get it from the kids. I think it's from, I don't even know. They just come up with stuff in their heads, but I just think that they should stop doing that for kids, because I think it ruins the whole recruiting process for everybody. So I feel like it's just weird, sort of.
Well, I ask that in jest as far as whether or not the Buckeyes are wasting their time, but there is a thought right now, especially on the West Coast. Now that Corey has picked USC, Sierra Wright picked USC, there's this, revitalization happening out there under the Trojans, or at least that's what, the talk is. How hard is it to consider leaving home at this point? I mean, is there any sort of pull for you to, pressure to stay home?
It's not really pressure. It's just people want me to stay home. Some of my family members, they want me to stay home and come play for the USC, but it's not pressure for me, because I know anywhere I go, I could go and start, and I could go play, make an immediate impact. So really that's how I look at it. I just want to see who could develop me the most, and then also where I can get the best education.
Is there anyone inside of the Ohio State recruiting class that you have a strong relationship with? Any of the dudes in that class that you've gotten to know pretty well?
I know Evan. I've met Evan a few times. Evan Pryor, he's a super cool dude. I talk to Reed a lot. I talk to Trey. I've been talking to Trey lately. And then Ben, the lineman, he's super cool. That's really about it. I don't talk to, but I know the other dudes like Lathan and all them. They're super cool.
For someone that's a linebacker, and you look at the Buckeyes 21 class, there's only one linebacker in it. They're losing their top 4 linebackers from the roster after this season with Tough Borland, Pete Warner, Justin Hilliard, and Baron Browning all leaving. I mean, as you look at that, there's not a lot of experience on the roster behind them. And then the other guys are actually juniors. So you have Dallas Gant and Kayvon Pope and Taraja Mitchell. They'll all be gone after next year.
Mm-hmm.
How important is a depth chart for someone like you? You're a top 40 prospect in the country. Obviously, you think you're going to be able to compete for playing time no matter where you go. But what are the things that you're really looking at that matter the most?
Really, I'm just looking at just where I could play earliest, where I'll be able to have the best opportunity to play the earliest, and then really just where I'll be developed the most. Because I just know I have to get ready for the NFL, hopefully, if I'm able to make it there. But also I need to be able to have academics and then be able to get a career out of that. So I'm just looking for the best, all-around opportunity that'll just have me better in the long run.
You made the difficult decision to hold off on early signing and early enrolling so that you could play your senior year at Mater Dei. What are things going? How are things going out there in California as far as the hope to play?
Really, I don't know how it's going. we're kind of behind the scenes. The kids, they don't really tell us too much, but I would say I think they're talking about club teams now, not even doing like the whole CIF shutting section thing. So I don't know. I really don't like how they've handled this, the whole COVID situation. I feel like they could have done better, like let us play without fans or something. But I guess they felt like it wasn't safe. Like no, it wasn't safe enough. So I try not to have too much input on them.
Did it work out in your favor though? Obviously with the recruiting stuff, because it did maybe at least gave you an opportunity to take a step back and not feel like you needed to hurry into a decision.
Yeah, that helped me a lot, and I was able to talk about it with my parents, and then like we was able to just say, maybe we should hold back and just wait it out and not graduate early. So I feel like that was a very helpful decision.
There's some discussion right now, and as I've mentioned at the start of the show, there's really only two guys that Ohio State's still recruiting in 21, and that's you and JT Tuimoloau. There's some discussion that JT's recruitment could stretch into at least maybe even April or longer.
Yeah, probably because the last signing day is April 3rd April 1st. I mean, so I know I was thinking about doing the same thing, but I feel like I know where I feel like by like February 3rd, I know where I want to go.
So what do you have to do from now? I mean, here we are. It's first week of January. You have basically 3.5 weeks. You were supposed to come visit Ohio State on December 12th weekend. Is that going to happen? Are you guys going to make a trip to Columbus because as you said, your parents haven't been there?
Yes, we do plan on going in like the next few weeks. We've been talking about it, but I don't know exactly what day, so I can't even tell you when exactly we're going.
It's such a weird time. Like all of the early enrollees. So the Buckeyes have 15 early enrollees. They were all supposed to be on campus on Monday following the Clemson game. And because at this point, Ohio State hasn't had a week off or the coaches haven't had any time, these early enrollees aren't arriving now till I think the weekend of the 23rd of January. So everyone is just sort of rushing to get themselves into town. So
yeah, that's how it is for a lot of colleges right now. I feel like everybody, because Oregon is doing the same thing. Like all their kids are getting there, and the coaches aren't even back yet. But it's just kind of weird. The whole COVID situation is kind of threw everybody off. I feel like hopefully it gets back to normal.
Is there any opportunity, Raesjon, I guess, and this would be the big question. If you don't make it to Columbus in these next 3 weeks, is there any chance you sign with Ohio State in February?
Yeah, because it's really up to me. So my parents don't really care. They said it's up to me wherever I want to go. So they said they just really want to get out there because I showed them videos when I was out there and they was like, it's really nice. So we just want to go and meet Coach Washington and everything. But I mean, it's up to me. So I feel like I don't know. We'll see February 3rd.
Guys like Denzel Burke, for example. Denzel's an early enrollee for Ohio State. Has never been.
He's from Arizona,
right? And he's never been to Ohio State. He has never been there, even still. I mean, is there?
No, it's a few dudes like that. My friend Jalen, he committed to Oregon. He'd never been there either.
I mean, you guys are experiencing something that no recruits have ever had to deal with in modern recruiting history. Is there any conversation with guys like Denzel? I mean, obviously Trey Henderson. He did visit the city of Columbus in November, but he'd never been there before, and still hasn't been able to meet on. You've been on Ohio State's campus with coaches longer than he has.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's why I was like, that's crazy how I did that. He committed, but I was like, when I went up there, I felt the vibe for sure. But I was committed at the time, so I mean, I was honestly, I didn't know how to feel about it. But I called my parents and I told them like how much I liked it, and they just wanted me to wait a little bit. So I was just like, all right.
Well, you got about 3.5 weeks left to figure it out, man. So I'm going to let you get out of here and carry on with your day. I appreciate you taking time to join the show. That's Raesjon Davis from Mater High School in California. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This has been Birminology on Lettermen Row. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week.